Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to break down a really unique framework. It's all about understanding reality through a geometric lens, and what's so fascinating is that it's all based on a very specific interpretation of the Quran. So let's just start with a core question. What if the consequences you experience, the good and the bad, aren't just random? What if they're actually being built, piece by piece, according to a very specific, almost mathematical blueprint? That's the core idea we're going to dive into. Okay, so at the heart of this whole system, it really boils down to two fundamental shapes. And these shapes, well, they represent everything, from our actions all the way to the final outcomes they produce. First up, you've got the triangle. Now, in this system, the triangle symbolizes a live, ongoing action or a command. So think of it like a vector in physics, right? It's a force pointing in a direction. It's pure, real-time motion. And then you've got its counterpart, the square. The square is totally different. It represents a completed structure. It's a sealed frame, a finished container. Basically, it's the result of an action that has now become a fixed, solid reality. You could even say it's the ground you're standing on. So here's the crucial part, right? It's the relationship between them. The triangle, that's the action. It's the input, the doing part. And the square, well, that's the structure that the action builds. It's the output, the done part. This whole dynamic is basically the engine that drives this entire system. Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? Well, this framework points to a very specific verse in the Quran, and it calls it a calibration protocol. Think of it like a set of instructions for building your reality piece by piece. And check this out. It's laid out as a 4-step pipeline. It all kicks off with one triangle, one continuous action. In this context, that's reciting the book, seen as a live stream of guidance. And get this one single action is supposed to build two different squares. First, your inner world, your internal alignment through prayer. And second, your outer world, which gets structured through spending. And if you do it right, the result is supposed to be a stable, non-perishable return, something that actually lasts. So, according to this way of seeing things, when that live command, that triangle, correctly builds both of those structures, the inner and the outer one, what you get is a perfectly aligned mirror. It reflects a clear, stable, and totally predictable reality right back at you. Okay, but what happens when someone misunderstands how this all works? When they get it wrong? Well, that brings us to something this system calls the escape test. So to visualize this state of misunderstanding, the system uses the number 33. I want you to picture two triangles right next to each other. This represents a realm of just pure, ungrounded action. It's a state of constant motion where you might confuse all that frantic activity with actual freedom or real progress. And this whole concept is tied directly to a specific checkpoint in the Quran, verse 55:33. And it throws down this challenge, right? It says, go on, try to pass beyond the regions of the heavens and the earth. Just try it. But then, right away, it tells you that you can't. You won't pass unless you have a sultan, which in this framework is interpreted as a special authorized key. And here's the thing about this key. It's not about brute force. It's not about having more power or more triangle energy, just more motion. No, it's about having the right permission, the rightful authority. So the verse is basically a pre-warning telling you, hey, don't mistake all your own frantic running around for a genuine escape from the system. It just doesn't work that way. So if you can't escape, if there's no authorized exit, then what happens? Well, according to this framework, you don't break out, you land. And this landing zone is called the realm of 44. Now, if 33 was two triangles, you can probably guess what 44 is. It's two squares. This symbolizes a totally sealed state inside a sealed environment. This is it. This is the final destination, the realm of consequence. And in this realm, the geometry does a complete 180. The focus isn't on pushing outwards with your actions anymore. Not at all. Instead, you find yourself just cycling inside the very structure, the very container that your past actions built for you. Okay, now this leads to a really fascinating concept called the flip law, and it's a complete inversion of your role in reality. See, in the action realm, you are the triangle. You're the vector, the force, the one actively building your square reality. But in the consequence realm, in that landing zone, you become the square. You're the container now, and it's your own past actions that turn into the triangles, the forces that start moving you around inside of it. Your agency literally flips from being the builder to just being the occupant. All right, let's bring this whole journey together. Let's look at the unified flowchart of cause and effect that this framework presents. When you boil it all down, this entire framework is really a warning. It's a caution against a very specific kind of arrogance. And that's the error of the triangle, the temporary, fleeting action, acting like it owns the place, pretending it's the square, the permanent ground it's standing on. So here you have it, the whole process in one clear view. First, you've got calibration. That's where you use a single command, a triangle, to build your two squares, your inner and outer reality. Next, you hit the checkpoint. This is where you're tested, where you're reminded that all your motion, all that 33 energy, isn't the same as real freedom. And finally, there's the consequence. You land in that 44 structure, a loop where you have to experience firsthand the reality that you yourself constructed. And that, of course, leaves us with a pretty deep final thought. You see, this framework isn't meant to be just some abstract intellectual theory. It's designed to be a mirror. It's asking you to look at your own actions right now, your personal triangles, and see them as the actual blueprint for the reality, for the square that you will one day have to live in. So the question it leaves you with is, what does your blueprint look like? What are you building?